Alright, guys, gals, and everything in between. Oh my god, it finally happened. The Strain finale for season 2. Oh my god, it's hard to believe that it's over for another year. I have so many things going through my head right now. I'm trying to sort them out. I mean, I am like a kid in a candy store right now. I'm excited. I'm baffled, and it's a good day to be a Strain fan, but at the same time, I hate the fact that it's over for a season. Now we gotta wait until the next one. So I'm gonna do my best to try and get this review for you, dressed up in some nicer clothes than I normally do for the review. Figured I'd do that. And yeah, let's do this. So in this finale episode, we ultimately have two story arcs going on. We open up, though, with a really touching scene where F and Nora and Zach are about to head out, and they're trying to take a goodbye picture with Satrakian, and it looks really funny. And because Satrakian doesn't like to like goodbyes, so he doesn't really feel like smiling, so they're kind of like, and smile. And smile? It's how that scene would work, and it did, and I thought it was touching. Continuing with all this, we get to see a tease of what's to come in season 3, and we have Icorst walking through this really Gatorade-themed lit building that's a factory that they've been building, and he's sitting there, and there's these cages. He's like, oh, and they can only open from the top. He's like, as instructed. And what are you putting in here? And he looks, and he's like, sheep. And it reminded me of the Holocaust flashbacks that they had, because it looks like he's setting up a human Holocaust, which obviously is to come in season 3 and 4 and I think 5. They are going to... That place is going to get filled up is their plan. And so things are about to go down with them. And seriously, though, I'm going to try and find a picture and pull it up for you. Gatorade-themed. Just saying. We also have Icorst going into Eldritch Palmer's office, because Eldritch Palmer and Coco were talking, and they were like, you know, he doesn't need to bully you like that. You need to stand up for yourself. Be a man. Eldritch Palmer is like, well, yeah, he needs me. I mean, I'm important to him. So I'm going to push back, and we're going to see what happens. And so that sets up things for the future. Satrakian and Fett are on their way to go pick up the Oxidolumin, or at least go gamble for it. And they're at one of those auctions, and they're going to gamble for it with the funding from the Ancients, and they don't even know how much gold they have. And guys, gals, and everything in between, this seriously is one of my favorite parts of the episode, is the auction scene. Who would have thought our epic duel would have ended in gold? I assure you, our battle is going to end in silver. And you're just like, no! I seriously love the dialogue they have back and forth. And then they go back and they're gambling like 15 million, 20 million, 30 million. And then they're like, you know what? The number just gets so astronomical, and the way it's shot, it's intense. Just 20 million, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45. It's so intense back to back that you're just like, I can't mentally process it. We cut away during all of this auction madness. We cut to Quinlan talking to his new crew. And they're like, wait, this guy's one of them. He's like, I assure you, I'm not one of them. And the dude is basically like, says who? And tries to attack him. And Quinlan just decides, you know what, screw it. Runs over there, blocks the gun, and then punches him square in the face. But punches him so hard that his head spins around and breaks. And I'm just like, it was so awesome. And then Quinlan gives this speech about, you know, we're all working together, and right now you don't seem to realize this isn't about race, this isn't about color, this is about red blood and white blood. And I was sitting there, and they're talking about it, and Quinlan is giving this badass speech about how they're gonna take down the Master. And all of a sudden, to quote that Krieger from Archer, stop, my penis can only get so erect. It's that awesome. It was seriously awesome. So then, as the auction comes to a close, I couldn't believe what happened is all of a sudden Icorst, they get a call and say Icorst, like Eldridge Palmer's pulled out his money. You can't buy the Oxido Lumen. And he starts to try and bully him around, and well, there's a bunch of dudes with machine guns in there. So he's like, you know what? I've picked my battles. I'm coming back for you. And Fett, as they're driving back, they realize it's getting dark, and he's like, you know, maybe we should have asked for backup. And then he admits that he's trying to double-cross everybody, because, you know, Satrakian would never logically work with a Strigoi. So then, boom, it hits the fan, and it's that scene that you see in the trailer, where all of a sudden, they're stuck in their van, and there's Icorst, and there's a bunch of Strigoi, and they're just like, you know what, take it, bring the old man, just fight something. What do? They have an intense battle, and then we have Fett grabbing an Uzi, and he sticks it out of the sliding door, basically a walking fortress of this car that has survived virtually everything in this show. And he's just firing, he's like, bah, 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 bah. And you know, Satrakian throughout this fight has had his nail gun, he's like, pew, pew. And I love that sound the nail gun makes in this, when it hits and then the nail hits, where it's like, and I'm just like, oh my god, so much awesome. It can only get so erect. It's just all sorts of testosterone and awesome. And they're getting surrounded, and they're like, you know, this is looking kind of it. And Gus shows up with the Silver Angel and Quinlan, and they just start firing. And it is a mass battle of explosion and death and machine guns and coolness. And I'm freaking out because it was so awesome. And people, then all of a sudden, one of the most intense talk-down scenes for a battle happened the whole season is where he was like, can you see through my eyes? Quinlan and Icorst run into each other. And he's sitting there and he's like, you know, it was smart of you to not come here tonight. Cowardly, but, you know, smart. And he's just like, I fear no one. And Quinlan, being so freaking awesome, was like, neither do I. But oh, it was so cool, and they were fighting each other, and then Icorst just narrowly escapes. And Gus, you think that maybe he's gonna die because there's dynamite, and he dives into the sewer. Explosion and testosterone and manliness. And they're like, oh crap. And there goes the van. So I guess they don't have the Fettmobile anymore, and I was just like, rest in peace, Fettmobile. You will be missed. That was not the biggest tragedy we've had in this whole episode. I do have to point out that one thing that's really cool about this episode is the lighting composure. When they're in the subways with F and Nora, it's blue. Everything is blue, and it's all brightly lit with blue. And then when we cut to our battles up on the surface streets or in the church, it is orange. And I'm not sure why they picked those colors, but it was an orangish color for the surface and a bluish color. I think blue meant safety and orange was constant danger. And I love that they color-coded the scenery. I love it when movies do lighting that could potentially happen in real life, but it's a little bit more fantasized. I think it's awesome. It's beautiful. The cinematography in this episode, top-notch. I love this exchange that they have in the subway with Nora and F, because they're kind of like breaking bread and making peace after what F did, and they hold hands and you just kind of see the happiness in their eyes. And I love that we've now seen that story come near full circle, I'd say. And they get on the train. And anyone who's read Book 2, The Fall, and the Strain trilogy knows that there is a ridiculously intense scene that happens on a train. And this is what happens. The train is getting kamikazed by a bunch of Strigoi, and they start breaking in, and so Nora and Zach split up with F as they're trying to break out of the train car and get out because the feelers are on their way, and so F has to fight his way out of the train, and Nora and Zach have already gotten out of the train. Now, this is honest to God where the show took a turn that I'm warning in case anyone is decided they don't want this part spoiled, but yet, whether they've watched the episode. I digress. Just warning you guys, this was a bombshell drop, and it was a bit of a controversial decision, but I can see where they were sort of going with it. Kelly arrives to fight with Nora, and Nora says, when I tell you run, you run. And Zach is starting to run, and you know what? Let me just take a moment. Okay, guys? Guys, gals, and everything in between. I need a moment. And this is what I have to say to Zach after this episode. That not enough? Well, assure you, underneath this shoe, it's the same symbol right now. Hey, you want to do a Strigoi version? They're fighting each other, and Nora is kicking the shit out of Kelly, and it's like boom, boom, boom. And then stupid fucking Zach stops and is like, eh. And then that distracts Nora because she's like, what the fuck are you doing? And then all of a sudden, kaboom, boom, hits Nora. And Nora's like, oh, and I'm like, what? And my girlfriend's like, what? Nora is down. Guys, gals, and everything in between. I just want to bring it up. I read the books. Now, I have no clue what the showrunners are planning right now. I have read the books. And I have to say, Nora is alive in book 3. So what are you doing? She is an important character to the story. I get you wanted that dramatic tension, but there's certain characters you've taken liberties on. And I've been wonderful with all the liberties. And this one is the most controversial, and I understand why they did it, but at the same time, why did you just do that? Nora is dead, and she is one of the most important characters in the series. And she's alive in book 3, which means you are rewriting the lore of all this. So I have no idea what's going on next. I seriously don't. And Zach, she walks over there and she's like, oh, Zach. And he gives her a hug. And then she runs off and takes him. Why doesn't he turn him? Why doesn't she turn him? Well, you'll have to stay tuned and find out in season 3, my friends, because I don't like to spoil that kind of stuff ahead for you. So, oh God, Kelly just takes Zach away, and that, I could not believe what I'd just seen, and it was so sad, because I love Nora. She's one of the best characters in the show, and you just killed her off. And and also, Coco died. This completely negated the importance of Coco dying, but I could have guessed that from a mile away because Eldridge Palmer was like, I am going to be the lead negotiator in this, and then the Master was like, well, fuck you, and then bam. So, with Zach and all of that, though, I do have to say that none of the characters ended on a high note. This is like the Empire Strikes Back type ending, where not one person ends up happy, and it's like our heroes have to fall so far from grace and then have to pick themselves back up. And I'm saving the part for last discussing Nora's death in more detail. With Satrakian and Gus and all of them at the docks, they're talking and they're like, none of us are ending up good with this, and I don't really feel safe with our team. We have a half vampire, half human. We have a bunch of criminals and us. I don't know if we can win. And Satrakian's like, we don't really have a choice, do we? I like that. Now, going back to Nora's death. Oh my God. So then when Nora's laying there, it is so heartbreaking because you see F running through there and he's screaming out Zach and Nora's name, and he's tearing up and you're tearing up, and I love the scene, and this further explains my proof of the cinematography is F sees her and just drops everything, and she's laying there, and you're just like, oh, Nora, and he runs over, and she's like, it's too late for me, he's like, no, we can save you, and you're just like, please save Nora, and you're, of course not, because we know, and she says we know, you can't, just let it happen, and Zach's been taken, focus on that, not on me, and stuff, and then, oh my God, F is just like, please don't leave me. And she's just like, it's going to happen. And she takes the sword and she taps it against the rail spike. And he's just like, no! And it's in slow motion. And if you notice with the cinematography, their orange sparks shoot up and they're all over the screen, which means that danger is everywhere now. With the blue that was safety, and now orange is in every aspect of their life. It is all over. And I believe that is what that scene also had symbolized. And it's a beautiful scene, and F's just screaming out, and Nora, when she finally falls over and dies. Honestly, guys, gals and everything in between, one of the most touching moments I've seen in TV is F just looks there as she's dead, and he just lays down with her and cuddles with her, and you see him like crying, and he just holds her tight, and they're laying on the subway track together, and he's just holding her, and I was just like, oh my god, the emotion. Oh, it is so emotional, and I loved it. I don't like how much they changed the lore in that sense, that they killed her off like that. But either way, I understand why it had to happen. All the characters had to fall from grace. This was an amazing episode, and I can't believe that the season's over and we have to wait another year. Oh, it's an amazing experience to me. I can't thank all of you enough. All the people who say that they love what I've done with these, I thank you so much for sticking around the season and watching these. I hope you like and subscribe, and you watch next year for season 3, and stick around and watch the videos that I've got for you. And, it means the world to me, guys. I love you so much. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Guys, gals, and everything in between, it's been one hell of a season, and I will see you next season, and hopefully on some of my other reviews. Love you guys.